this is another hole that we've dug in this thicket clump that's spekboom-dominated, and we've put it just kind of a quarter into the spekboom clump. And what's really interesting here is, firstly, this is the litter layer, and you already see the roots that are in the litter layer right there. So your litter layer is dominated by these spekboom rain roots. They are just really there to suck up just about anything that falls. But so we just have a look. Just look at this rich litter layer that's going on under here. Yeah, you've seen this from me many times. The amazingness of spekboom and its litter layer that produces very, very thick, very dominated. And if I scratch away, you can see the roots starting to emerge. So that's still in the litter layer itself. It's foraging for water in the litter layer. But the other thing that happens is that this soil becomes very fluffy and soft. You can kind of break it fairly easily. If I were to go out away from the spekboom clump, I'd need a hammer to be able to do this. And one thing that I've realized is that when it's soft like this, I think the water makes it further down, and we get spekboom roots that go further down, much further down the profile. So there's a spekboom root at maybe about 40 centimeters, 35, 40 centimeters. There's some more. There's some more spekboom roots. Yeah, there's a spekboom root there. I'm quite deep down now. And the reason why is, so firstly there's more carbon going into the system, but there's a lot more bioturbation as well. There's a lot more insect movement, earthworm movement, that is making the soil very fluffy, and the water makes it far deeper here. And so I think the roots here, I mean, most of the roots are dominated at the top. I'd say, let me guess, maybe 80 to 90% of all the roots are in this top section. But when you've got the magic of this increasing infiltration, whenever there are large rainfall events, the water makes it further down, and so spekboom does start foraging further down in a spekboom clump. When it's out in the open out there, they'll only be in the top 20 centimeters or 30 centimeters or so, not any deeper. Now 20 centimeters is an odd one at like 30 centimeters. But here, it looks like there are a lot more roots that go deeper down. That's something else. That's not spekboom. That's spekboom. That's not spekboom. So yeah, this is quite a profile that's quite dominated by spekboom. Anyway, so there's a proviso to the foraging. But that said, I think that you'll see 3 roots in here that'll carry on getting moisture out of this after spekboom stop being able to get moisture out of these soils. Oh, just a nice money shot of this leaf litter there. Just always amazes me. Look at all of that. In a semi-arid system, we're getting, 300 mils of rainfall. And we're getting, and this is just so alive with animals. We were counting how much litter was being produced, and so we're collecting all of this, and it was just teeming with spiders and insects and worms, and we found a frog. It's just this is such an amazing environment versus what happens when you degrade the felt. And you've got this. I think you'd struggle to find much diversity on that. Anyway, so things operating slightly differently underneath these clumps, because the nature of the soil has changed, and so the nature of water infiltration has changed. So the fact that we're getting roots down the bottom there means that water has to be penetrating far enough for the soil to become saturated enough that spekboom can get water out of the soil. It's kind of like an indicator of how much better the water infiltration is underneath this than it is out in the open here. And just out of interest, here's another pit we've dug, and you can just see how these roots just dominate the upper sections of the profile. And you don't find those roots. Sorry, it's not a good angle. You don't find the roots anywhere further down. That's not spekboom there. None of that's spekboom. You've only got spekboom up the top here. Okay. Hope you enjoyed it. Ciao.